Assalamu alaikum. This is Shoruk Mujumdar welcoming you all to the English news from Btv Chattogram. Let's begin with headlines. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus inaugurates government's financial assistance to families of martyrs and injured ones in July uprising. High Court starts hearing on death reference and appeals of defendants sentenced to death in Abrar Fahad murder case. More than 1,300 arrested as Operation Devil Hunt underway across the country to check anti-state and terrorist activities. Human Rights Watch finds direct involvement of ousted Prime Minister Sheikhhasina and some top military and civil officers in overseeing enforced disappearances. Riyadh condemns Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's comments on establishment of independent Palestinian state in Saudi Arabia. And India beat England by 4 wickets in second one-day international in Cuttack clinching series with match to spare. Those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. The government's financial assistance to the families of the martyrs and the injured ones in the July uprising started officially today. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus inaugurated the program at the Chief Advisor's office today. The Chief Advisor exchanged views with the families of the martyrs and the injured ones in the July uprising. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus said, "Today is an important day for the families of the martyrs and the injured ones in the July uprising. Institutionally, you are part of the government," he said. The martyrs and wounded ones of the July uprising were the creators of the history and could not be measured by ordinary standards. Professor Yunus said those who are guilty must be prosecuted and those who are not guilty should be brought to the right path. He said those who fled will not sit idle. They will conspire in various ways, but all will have to be united to build a new Bangladesh.
আপনি ইতিহাসের স্রষ্টা, আপনার ছেলে, আপনার সন্তান, আপনার ভাই, আপনি নিজে যিনি আহত হয়েছেন, যারা এখানে আসছেন, তারা ইতিহাসের স্রষ্টা। ইতিহাসের স্রষ্টাকে সাধারণ মাপকাঠি দিয়ে, টাকা পয়সা দিয়ে হয় না। যে জাতি ইতিহাসকে স্মরণ করতে পারে না, সে জাতির ভবিষ্যৎ নেই। আজকে খুব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ দিন প্রাতিষ্ঠানিক দিক থেকে, যদিও আমাদের ক্ষোভের কথা বলতে গিয়ে হয়তো এটা আমরা হারিয়ে ফেলেছি। খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ দিন আজকে, এই জন্য যে প্রাতিষ্ঠানিকভাবে আপনারা সরকারের অংশ হয়ে গেলেন। এই যে মুক্তিযুদ্ধ মন্ত্রণালয়ের কারণে মুক্তিযোদ্ধারা তারা এক জায়গাতে সরকারের অংশ হয়ে গেছে, এটা কেউ বুঝতে পারবে না। আপনারা আজকে এই মন্ত্রণালয়ের অংশ হয়ে গেলেন। এটা জুলাই স্মৃতি পরিদপ্তর সৃষ্টি হয়েছে, যেটা আপনি যাই করেন না কেন সরকারের কাঠামোর ভেতরে ঢুকে গেছে। বিচারের কাজ চলতে থাকুক, যারা অপরাধী, যাকে সাক্ষ্য প্রমাণ আছে, তারা পুলিশের হাতে সুপর্দ করে দাও, বিচারের হাতে তুলে দাও, সে প্রক্রিয়া চলতে থাকবে। তুমি তুলে দেবে তাকে, যথেষ্ট সাক্ষী প্রমাণ সহ। অবিচার যেন না হয়। আমরা অবিচারের বিরুদ্ধে দাঁড়িয়েছিলাম বলেই আজকে এই সংগ্রাম হয়েছে, এই আত্মত্যাগ হয়েছে। আর আমরা যদি অবিচারে নেমে যাই, তাহলে তাদের আর আমাদের তফাৎ হলো কি? আমরা অবিচারে নামবো না। আমরা যাদের অপরাধী তাদেরকে পুলিশের হাতে, আইনের হাতে সুপর্দ করব, আর যারা অপরাধী নয়, যে পুলিশের হাতে দেওয়ার মতো নেই, তাদেরকে মানুষ করব। যে ভাই, এই দেশ আমরা একসঙ্গে করি, যেই দেশের স্বপ্ন আমরা দেখতেছি, তোমরাই স্বপ্ন দেখে। তো এই দেশ আমার একার না, তোমারও এই দেশ। তোমাকে আমরা দেশ থেকে বাইর করার কথা বলতেছি না। তুমি এই দেশের সন্তান, আমি এই দেশের সন্তান। তুমি আমার বহু কষ্ট দিছো, আমি তোমার কষ্ট দেবো না। আমরা একযোগে যত তাড়াতাড়ি পারি এটা একটা সুন্দর দেশ বানাবো। এই করতে আসতে হবে তো আমাদেরকে, বোঝাপড়াতে আসতে হবে। সেই বোঝাপড়াটা তোমাদের থেকে শুরু হতে হবে। সরকারি পর্যায়ে বোঝাপড়া হয় না। কাজেই সেই জিনিসটা দেখো, যারা অপরাধী তাদের অবশ্যই বিচার করতে হবে, যারা অপরাধী নয় তাদেরকে সৎ পথে নিয়ে আসতে হবে আমাদেরকে এই দেশে থাকার জন্য।
Liberation War Affairs Advisor Farooq Azam, Information and Broadcasting Advisor Nahid Islam and Health Advisor Noor Jahan Begum, among others, addressed the occasion. Later, the Chief Advisor distributed checks of financial assistance to the families of the martyrs and injured ones in the July uprising. Canada welcomed its engagement with Bangladesh to continue technical discussions toward a Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Agreement (FIPA) to expand trade and investment ties between the two countries. Minister of International Development of Canada, Ahmed Hussain, expressed this when he called on Chief Advisor Professor Mahmoud Yunus at the Chief Advisor's office in the capital today. The Chief Advisor urged Canada to relocate their manufacturing factories to Bangladesh and to make the country a production hub, taking advantage of Bangladesh's youth forces. He also requested the Canadian minister to expedite visa process for Bangladeshi students. The Canadian minister said they would welcome any legitimate students from Bangladesh and that the country's recent decision to reduce the number of student study permits had not particularly targeted Bangladeshis. The Chief Advisor sought Canada's assistance again for bringing back stolen money from Bangladesh. He said there is this whole area called Begumpara where family members of corrupt people are living. Assuring Bangladesh of the Canadian government's assistance, Ahmed Hussain said they don't want corrupt money, plundered public money in Canada. During the meeting, the Canadian minister reiterated the support of his government for Bangladesh's interim government. They also discussed the ongoing reform initiatives in Bangladesh, the upcoming general election, and the plight of Rohingya refugees from Myanmar. Canadian High Commissioner in Bangladesh, Ajit Singh, and Senior Secretary for SDG Affairs, Lamia Murshid, were present in the meeting. The High Court today started hearing on the death reference and appeals of the defendants sentenced to death in the Abrar Fahad murder case. The High Court bench of Justice A.K.M. Asaduzzaman and Justice Syed Inayat Hussain began the hearing. On October 7, 2019, Abrar, a second-year student of Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, was beaten to death by a group of Buet Unit Chhatraleague activists in a dormitory. A Dhaka court on December 8, 2021 sentenced 20 Buet students to death for their direct involvement in the murder. The court also sentenced 5 other Buet students to life imprisonment in the case. The documents of the case reached the High Court on January 6, 2022, as death reference to examine the lower court's verdict. Operation Devil Hunt is underway across the country to check anti-state and terrorist activities. The drive began on Saturday midnight, comprising the Army, Police, RAB and BGB. Deputy Commissioner of Dhaka Metropolitan Police, Muhammad Talebur Rahman, said a total of 1,308 people were arrested across the country till yesterday on charges of different crimes. Of them, 274 persons were arrested in metro cities, while 1,034 in different ranges. International human rights organization, the Human Rights Watch HRW, has found the direct involvement of ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and some top military and civil officers in overseeing the enforced disappearances of the individuals. It said Sheikh Hasina, as well as retired Major General Tariq Ahmed Siddiq, Major General Ziaul Hassan and senior police officers were involved in overseeing the enforced disappearances. The US-based Human Rights Watchdog said these in its recently released 50-page report titled "After the Monsoon Revolution, a Roadmap to Lasting Security Sector Reform in Bangladesh." The HRW sources said officers involved in enforced disappearances also told Human Rights Watch that Sheikh Hasina and senior members of her government had knowledge of incommunicado detentions, and the disappearances happened by their orders. Shortly after Sheikh Hasina fled the country, 3 men were released from secret detention centers, and in all 3 cases, authorities had for years denied having them in custody. The HRW in its report also said the government should act on the recommendation of the National Commission of Inquiry to disband the Rapid Action Battalion, which has been responsible for numerous extrajudicial killings, torture and enforced disappearances, mentioning that Bangladesh has a long history of divisive politics which can seep into law enforcement. The HRW said the interim government should establish independent civilian oversight over law enforcement, including through the National Human Rights Commission, with authority to carry out unannounced inspections of all places of detention. It should also enforce international standards on the use of force, making clear that any member of the security forces breaching them will be held accountable, it added. Analysts said that whoever wanted to express independent opinions in the past 15 years were abducted or killed. Those who committed these acts during the previous government's tenure will have no opportunity for impunity, they observed. People have been abducted and killed indiscriminately with the direct support of a political party. Sociologists said that they did this to serve their own interests. Imported wheat from Argentina through an international open tender has started unloading at the Chittagong port. Food Secretary Mohammad Masoodul Hassan inspected the wheat unloading activities at the port's silo jetty today. Argentine Ambassador to Bangladesh Marcelo C. Sasa, Director of the Modern Food Storage Facilities Project of the Ministry of Food, Mohammad Asadujaman, Regional Food Controller SM Kaisar Ali and other officials of the Food Department were present at that time. Earlier, a ship carrying 50,200 metric tons of wheat from Argentina arrived at the Chattogram port last Wednesday. Of this wheat, 30,120 metric tons will be unloaded at the Chattogram port and 20,080 metric tons at the Mongla port. Later, the Food Secretary inspected the new silo project at Pottinga. Now international news. Riyadh has condemned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's comments on the establishment of an independent Palestinian state in Saudi Arabia. In a statement, the Saudi government said the Prime Minister was trying to divert attention from Israel's crimes in Gaza, including ethnic cleansing. The Saudi Foreign Ministry said in a statement, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia reaffirms that the Palestinian people have the right to their land and they are not infiltrators or immigrants who can be driven out by the cruel Israeli occupiers at will. In an interview with Israeli broadcaster Channel 14 on Thursday, Netanyahu said the Saudis could establish a Palestinian state in Saudi Arabia. They have a lot of land there. Arab countries including Qatar, Jordan, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait and Iraq expressed anger after his remarks. Before Netanyahu, US President Donald Trump was criticized for his comments on Gaza. He recently added, the United States would take control of the Gaza Valley after the end of the conflict. Palestinians will be removed from there. Elsewhere, Arab leaders condemned Trump's remarks. The bodies of at least 28 migrants have been recovered from a mass grave in a desert in southeast Libya. Libya's Attorney General said the grave was discovered north of Kufra just days after another mass grave with 19 bodies was found on a farm in the same city. Officials found the latest grave following a raid on a human trafficking site where authorities freed 76 migrants who had been detained and tortured. The Office of the Attorney General posted on Facebook. 1 Libyan and 2 foreigners have been arrested, it added. Images shared online showed police and volunteers digging in the sand before placing corpses in black bags. The search in Kufra, more than 1,700 kilometers from Libya's capital Tripoli, is continuing. Back to national news. 2 people have died and 3 others sustained burn injuries in a fire in Boluadigirpar area of the city this morning. Fire service and civil defense officials said fire originated at a semi-pakka house at Jafar Colony around 6:40 a.m., adding that on information, 4 Firefighting units rushed to spot and managed to douse the blaze around 8:30 a.m. The firefighters rescued 5 injured people from the house and sent them to Chattogram Medical College Hospital. Head of Burn and Plastic Surgery Unit at CMCH, Dr. Rafiquddin Ahmed said 2 people from fire incident were brought dead, while 3 others were undergoing treatment at the unit. Of the origination of fire could not be known immediately.